Everyone, and welcome to Stamp with Angela. I'm Angela Palmer, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the fourth and final Facebook Live to do with watercolouring techniques. So this month, the month of July, is World Watercolouring Month. So over the past month, I've been sharing some different techniques that you can use when using watercolour to do watercolouring. And so I'm going to finish the series with some colouring. So if you've stamped an image and then you're going to colour it in with watercolouring. So I'll go over a couple of the basics and things again, and then we'll get started. So all right, so shortly I'm going to turn the camera around to my table and share what I'm going to create. So today's cards are watercolouring techniques, and they also feature a couple of the Celebration products as well. So Celebration is a promotion that is around for July and August. So we're nearly halfway through, towards the end of July, so just over a month to go. So what the stamp set I'm using and some of the papers I'm using are available through Celebration. So Celebration is, if you purchase product, can be any product from any of the catalogues and things. And if you spend $110, then you can choose one of the level 1 products, which is the stamp set I'm going to use, and it's called Stylish Sketches. And the other product I'm going to use today is some paper, and that's part of kind of a bundle. It's a stamp set and also papers. So to be able to get that for those both together, then you spend $220. So there's a wonderful range of products, of stamps, papers, and things that you can choose as your free Celebration product. All right, so I'm going to turn my camera around, so please bear with me for a moment as I set up, and then we will get crafting. Let's get crafting and let's make these 2 cards. So they feature the Stylish Sketches. So I've used this one here, which is the plants, which is the figs, on this card here. And then the other card has got the ducks, which are here. And if you may notice in that background one there, I've also got that in the background on this card too. So that's one of the products that's available through Celebration if you spend $110 or more. So this is Celebration, and you can see it in here. And the other product I'm going to show you is the Wonderful World stamp set and papers. So these are the papers. So lovely, lots of flowers and all that kind of thing. Very nice. And then on the other side, you've got more patterns and things. So the 2 that I'm using today are, so that's that one side, and then we've got kind of a rich raspberry, and then a pear pizzazz on that side. Okay. All right, so other things that you're going to need. So just a reminder of some things that I've gone over the last couple of weeks with watercolouring is when you're using water, you need something that is good for colouring with water. So shimmery white cardstock, which is A4 size, is what I've used today. And the other alternative is the Fluid 100 watercolour paper, which is a little bit thicker as well. So then we need water painters. So they come in 3 sizes. And today, because I'm doing some quite detailed colouring with the watercolouring, I'm going to use the finest tip. And I've just, now that's the big one. You can see how big that is. This, I believe, is the middle one, and the actual one I want to use is hiding from me. I've got it right here, and I will grab it in a second, I hope, otherwise my colouring is going to struggle a little bit. I'll find it as I show you the other things. Other things I've used, so you can see I've cut circles. So these are some stitched circles. So for one of them, for the duck, because it's a bigger image, I've used this one. For that one, I've used a slightly smaller one. So from the biggest, the second and the third down. And I've cut that out of shimmery white cardstock. And my sentiment I've used just for you. Then I can kind of use it for anything. And Celebrating You is a great set because it's got a variety of sentiments on it. Now the other thing, you could use ink, or I'm actually going to use markers today for this one. Now I'm not sure if you can tell the difference, but these are stamped in 2 different techniques. This one here I've stamped using the colours, whether it's from an ink pad or markers, and then I've coloured it using what I've stamped. This one here, I've stamped it in black and then I've coloured it. So to do this one, you need to use StazOn, because if you use other black, then it's going to run with the water too. So StazOn, and then I've coloured it with inks. What else? And then this one here has also got that background. I don't know how easy it is to see in the video, but there is an embossing folder for that, and it's one of the narrow ones, so it fits in the mini as well. And this is the pattern that it uses. The colours here are Rich Razzleberry, and here I've used Pear Pizzazz, and then and this one also uses Evening Evergreen. All right, so we're going to get started. Oh yes, and I'll just show you, here is the fluid 100 paper, which is the other alternative you can use if you are going to be watercolouring. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to start off with my little circle. We're going to make this card first. Let's put that out the way. So we've got this here, and I've got my stamped image, and I'm just trying to find my watercolour painter, which I only used a couple of minutes ago. I'll put it in a safe place, but it is just, here it is, found it. Okay, so that's the fine tip. So you can compare the three, and I'm going to use the fine tips because I can use a bit more detail. Okay, so with my markers, they've got a thick tip and a thin tip. So I'm going to use the thick tip, but we'll start with the figs first. So just carefully colouring. I kind of use the side of the marker and colour all the figs. If you find it hard to sort of figure out the image, just have a look at the stamp set, because it's a little bit clearer. You can see what you need to colour. So there's kind of like 4 figs that you need to colour, and you can touch them up later if we need to before we stamp it. Okay, now I'm going to do the rest in green, trying not to go where my figs are. So you want to go close but not too close. And then the trick to this is, once you're finished and ready to stamp, huff over it, and then a bit of moisture helps stamp that. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but I've gone a little bit over the fig there with the green, so I'm just going to wipe that and go over it again, and I might just need to touch up my green again, because ideally I don't want any gaps. Although saying that, I am going to blend it with the water, so I can always touch it up a little bit. So I'll do the stalk. All right, let's hope this is going to look good. So huff over it and stamp it on the small one. Pretty good, I'm happy with that. So now, while that's kind of still wet, I'm going to make sure my water painter is clean, and on a scrap piece of paper I'm just, squeezing it to let a bit of water out, and then I'm going to use the colour that's already there and colour it. So it's just taking it from the edge of the fig and it's colouring the image. So we're using the ink that's already there. So this is why you don't want to stamp in the black, because it would run exactly like this. So I don't know how well you can see that. Try and let it focus, sorry. Okay, then I want to clean that, make sure it's got no colour on it. And then carefully, we're going to do all the green. So this will be a little bit more obvious because there's a lot of bigger sort of leaf areas. But can you see how, as I use the water, it's picking up the ink that's already there and, kind of mixing with the water, and I can colour it in. So it gives that slight blurred look, but that's sort of what we want. So sometimes we don't want to smudge the ink, but this time this is the effect that we're trying to achieve. And I've kind of missed a little bit of the stalk there, so I'm just going to do that with my pen. Now, if you don't have the markers and you want to do something similar, you could stamp the whole thing in the green. Then you could carefully wipe around the fig area. And if you've got a dauber or something, you could kind of dauber the fig areas. It may not be quite as detailed as the markers, but that's another way of doing it. Or even with the ink pad, rather than putting the whole thing in it, you could just sort of dab around the areas where the green is, and then with the rich raspberry go and do the fig. So that's an alternative if you don't have markers. But I do like my markers, and I do use them quite a bit, so they're quite useful to have. And obviously you can use colours and things that you've got. All right, so that is this here. So let's stamp our little sentiment, and then we can kind of put it together. So I've also used shimmery white for this, not because it's using water, but just so the two colours look the same. All right, so you could do it in rich raspberry, or you could do it in the evening evergreen, but I'll go for rich raspberry. Now the challenge is getting it straight, but remember we get 2 tries because we can turn it over. Oh, that's pretty good. I'm reasonably happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to use this Pick-a-Punch, and the best thing is to turn over. There's 2 different shapes, but I don't want anything too defined, so I'm going to use this one. I think it's the Lovely Labels. I like to turn it over so I can actually see if it's lined up straight. Now if you think I want it a little bit shorter, maybe just a little bit more on that edge, I'll just put it through again. It is getting a little bit harder to hold, but I can just do it just a tiny bit more off. Okay, very good. So I'm happy with those 2 bits. So now we're going to put our card together. So I'm using note cards again. So I'm going to use my note card as the base. So I'm going to just grab that now and fold it in half with a bone folder. And the good thing about note cards is they come with envelopes too. All right, so let's fold that and get my bone folder and crease it. Just kind of make sure it lines up as you crease it. There we go. Now, depending on what you're doing, we're only going to have half of it showing, so be economical. I've only haven't used a full piece, and then this will go on the bottom and it will cover it. So I want to glue my cardstock down first, and that I've already embossed. I don't know how well you can see that with the folder, and I'll have to write in the comments what it's called because I've forgotten at the moment. All right, so it kind of looks like a vine. It looks like it's hanging down. There we go, and this at the bottom. So rich raspberry is a nice colour, something I haven't actually used for a while, but it's lovely to use. Dimensional bits go everywhere. All right, just line it up nicely. Whoops, wiggle it because you've got time with the glue. There we go. All right, so then all we need to do is put our ribbon on and these elements here. So the ribbon I'm using is the Evening Evergreen ribbon, which is a kind of organza ribbon. And I'm just going to cut a piece, kind of measure it like so. I guess we can make it a little bit longer and then cut it shorter if we need to. We'll go with that. These are my ribbon scissors. So I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the back and then hold it in place, or I could use a couple of glue dots. Let's use a couple of glue dots because they're handier. All right, so my figs are going to be kind of hanging down like that. So I'm going to kind of twist it over and then adhere it to the back, kind of like that. So then we're going to grab a couple of glue dots to put it in place. Which side are they on? Here we go. So one, I'll just put a couple of bits down and then we'll adjust our ribbon after that. Okay, let's have another check. So it's going to hang down like that, and we want it to sort of cross over. We don't want it too much at the top. Okay, that one's there, And we'll put this one here. Maybe it's a little bit too wide, we'll just pull it in a little bit. This is probably the fiddliest part overall. Just getting this to line up exactly where you want it. Okay, and I'll put one more glue dot further up too, just to hold it all in place. And I don't like to waste ribbon, but when I'm on a video like this, just trying to do it quickly and efficiently. There we go. Cool. All right, so let's just adjust that. So I'm just going to use dimensionals to put it into place and just to lift it up a little bit as well. So actually I want my image more like that. So we're going to have to twist it around a little bit. Yeah. But that's, sorry, like I said, this is the most fiddly bit. There we go. Probably, maybe tape would have been easier. That one's going that way, this one's going this way, but that's okay. Did I cross it? No. Okay. Sorry. Want it to look nice. Okay, we can trim it again if need be. I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's put a few dimensionals on. And then after this card, I'm going to show you the other one, and I'm going to show you a different way of colouring. So this one, you'll remember we've used the ink that we stamped with to colour it, just adding a bit of water, and that helps to colour it. And we'll put that sort of about there, and now we just need to trim that again. So trim it once it's on your card. There we go. Okay, and you will see that I have added a little bit of sparkle as well. So we will put those on. So odd numbers are always good. So one up here. And whether you want to put it on the sentiment or on the card, up to you. I'll do this one different and we'll put it on the card. There we go. And I like these because they kind of bring out the colour that is on the card. So that brings out that kind of rich raspberry kind of look. So there you go. Just straighten that up a bit. Cool. So this technique is stamping an image and then using the watercolour painter to colour it with that. So I hope you like that colour, that particular card. All right, thank you. All right, appreciate those of you that are watching live. Hi, Joe. Hi, everyone else. And for those of you that are watching later, I appreciate that too. So feel free to ask any comments, ask any questions or in the comments and things. And if I can't answer now, I will answer later. All right, so the second card is this one here. So it's the ducks. So this one, you'll see with the image, it is black and then I've colored it. So I'm using a slightly bigger circle this time because the image is a little bit bigger. And I'm going to use my StazOn. So just remember when you use StazOn that you need to have StazOn cleaner on hand to clean it with afterwards, because it's a permanent ink and you'll need to remove it with StazOn cleaner to get it off your stamp. All right, now this is what am I trying to say? Let's just make sure this is the right way. A permanent ink, so just go carefully. All right, there we go. That looks good. So to clean it, I just go over like this and then get a paper towel. I don't like to use it on my stamping mist with the StazOn cleaner because I don't want that to go on other stamps. So I'll clean it like this. Then I'll spray it with my stamping mist and I'll use it and clean it in my Stampin' Scrub. So with StazOn, it will dry up easily, so I do find it's good to have ink on hand so you could ink it up because it will dry out and get a little bit fainter over time. Okay, so with this one here, now that it stays on, if I mix it with water, the black is not going to run. So I'm going to start off and do just a little bit of kind of yellowy orange colour using Mango Melody. So I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to squeeze the ink pad. It's better to do from the bottom down, and it puts some ink into the lid. Now this is a very bright colour, so I don't want too much ink, so make sure your brush is clean. It's got a bit of water, and I'm actually going to sort of dilute it a little bit. And very carefully, I am going to colour the beaks and the feet. So I need to concentrate a little bit here. So colouring that out, and let's do their feet as well. The other one. All right. So now I've got to really make sure that that's clean because there's a lot of colour on that. Excellent. Now I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz. Same thing. Squeeze my ink pad. This one looks different because it's the old style ink pad. I'm slowly replacing them, but a few of them I've still got the old ones. Okay, so pick up some ink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the sort of grassy background. So the more background first, the more water you add, the more diluted it is. And yeah, if you don't put much water, then it's going to be a stronger colour. All right, I'm going to make this duck, give his face a little bit of sort of a greenish, because sometimes they have a bit of a greenish head. And then I'll go over it again too. All right, so that's our green. Again, clean it. So just keep wiping it. I don't know if you can see, sorry, it was a bit low down. Don't know if you can see. Keep wiping it until it is clear. All right, last one is Crumb Cake. Now that's very dark. Okay, so let's just dilute it a little bit.